obviously Mount Rushmore, the copy of Mount Rushmore with all the band in there, you know, the Mark II, Deep Purple, classic, amazing album, great cover. The first time I met Ian Gillan, he said I was an amazing singer, and then I went into the toilets and I vomited everywhere, and he put me in a taxi and sent me home after wiping my face. It's true. Oh, Aqualung, fantastic. The old overcoat and everything. I didn't realize until I read the credits that his wife, his first wife, wrote the lyrics to Aqualung. But yeah, it's an amazing album. It's almost, for me, it's his most perfect album, you know. And I love a lot of his records, you know, but that for Aqualung, for me, probably because it was, in a way, my first, you know. Fire. Oh, Arthur Brown, yeah. It's maybe not the greatest cover in the world, but it's one of the great albums for me. One of the first concept albums ever, produced by, among others, Pete Townshend of The Who. And it's a concept album about a man's descent into hell, and of course the most famous track, you know, Fire, off that record. But the whole album is kind of very psychedelic and trippy. It's only a three-piece band: Arthur, plus a drummer and a keyboard player. So no guitar, nothing. There's Vincent Crane on keyboards, played for Atomic Rooster, and then it's Carl Palmer on drums, who obviously went on to do Emerson, Lake and Palmer, you know, so it's a crazy band. I met Arthur years after I saw him when I was like 15 years old. And I saw Arthur. He came to my school and did a gig with a project called Arthur Brown's Kingdom Come. He had an album called Journey, which was, funnily enough, that was produced by a guy called Dave Edmunds, who was like this rockabilly guy that played stuff for Rockpile. Anyway, it was an electronic type album, and Arthur came, and then years later, maybe, you know, 30 years later, there he was at the local mairie where I live, and he was doing a gig. I couldn't believe it. So we started talking, and I said, I saw you all these years, and now I'm a rock singer, and because of you, you know, at least partly. So yeah, we kept in touch, and yeah, I asked him to do some spoken word on the Chemical Wedding, yeah. Oh God, wow, yeah, okay. It's AC/DC, what can I say, with Bon Scott. I mean, and for me, I've got to say, I like what AC/DC are doing now with Brian Johnson, with the latest albums. I like that more than Hell's Bells, and definitely more than For Those About to Rock. They've kind of taken back control of their sound and changed it slightly to suit Brian's voice. But the first years with Bon, up till, you know, the end of Highway to Hell, wow. And that live album, If You Want Blood, You Got It. God, that's just incredible. So yeah, that lineup. And Bon was just a tragedy when that happened. It shouldn't have happened. No, Sin City is okay. Some of them are hard to sing. I mean, because Bon had a much, a kind of interesting voice, but it was very, very flexible, his voice, you know. It was a strange mixture of styles in his voice, you know, and but there was some blues in there. He could do really good blues. One of my favorite AC/DC songs it's called Ride On, and it's got this heartbreaking guitar solo. It sounds like he's like channeling Paul Kossoff from Free in the guitar period. I mean, it's great. I love that song, you know. Yes, I know the secret. Oh yeah. Well, of course, you know, I was a kid and got this album, and I was still a virgin, which made me open it up and go, oh my God, look at those women, right? And yeah, so, but what a great record. What a great album. What a great comeback album, you know. But yeah, the first two records are amazing. Well, no, I mean, Volume 4 was incredible as well, you know. What a consistent band, you know. I mean, and it's Geezer and Tony. You know, I mean, if you look at all the people, all the different vocalists, not just Ozzy, but they've all been, Born Again, great album. You know, everybody goes, oh, forget that one. No, it's a great album. Oh, yes. So, for me, that was the record where I discovered Ronnie Dio on vocals. I was like, who is that voice? You know, and I was like 16 years old, you know, and go, what the hell, that's Ritchie Blackmore. And I didn't know that Rainbow like kind of existed. And it was on a little transistor radio in a garage. And I went, that sounds like Ritchie Blackmore. And I waited till it finished. And the guy said, that was Rainbow and Stargazer. I went, oh my God, you know. It's one of the shortest albums ever made. You know, it's like 35 minutes long, the whole album. But it's a classic. I'll take that over a 90-minute long, boring yawn fest. 6 really incredible songs that changed the face of music. It really did. That was a game changer. It gets not enough respect from people outside of the metal world. I loved Graham Bonnet as on Down to Earth. I mean, Eyes of the World is one of my favorite like Rainbow songs, bar none. Lost in Hollywood, Eyes of the World. I mean, Since You've Been Gone, yeah, okay. But Eyes of the World to me is just, it's fantastic, you know. Pounding the world like a battering ram. Oh yeah. Yeah. What can you say? Judas Priest. They had that's one of their best covers. You know, they had a very mixed. I found their covers confusing. I'm like, what is this? You know, I mean, you know, Point of Entry. I'm like, what is this? You know, that one, you know what that is. That's obviously a metal record. It's obviously got an edge to it. It's got something to it. For me, I actually really started getting into Priest when I toured with them. So I was quite a late. I mean, I knew who they were. You know, Sad Wings of Destiny, all that stuff. But I really started to understand what they were about when I toured with them with Maiden. And it was on the Screaming for Vengeance tour. God, what a record that was. And then all the stuff before. I mean, Adrian was very into Priest, you know, more so than me. But then when I saw them live, I was like, yeah, these guys are really cool. Yeah, Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So again, for me, this was one of those records that is like unique. Other people have tried to do, you know, similar things, but Mindcrime is like, it's just perfect. It you know, and so intelligent. And the weird thing is that the guitar player who wrote pretty much most of that record, I think he did one more album and then he just left and disappeared and actually became a commercial pilot. So there you go. A big gap for the album cover. It's just been 3 silhouettes. Yeah. It's not a bad title for an album, isn't it? 3 silhouettes. 3 shadows, the 3 shadows, you know. But no, I mean, and maybe one day, but I don't know who you would do it with. My God, I think of a lot of my favorite singers, and a lot of them are dead. It's depressing. You know, I mean, Ronnie, he's gone. Chris Cornell, he's gone. Wow, what a voice he had, you know. Yeah, I don't know if anybody wanted to do it again. I don't know where that would come from, you know, anymore. It was a nice idea though. Oh yes, there we go. Yeah. So, yeah, the concerto. So I had a lot of fun with that record. So I learned a lot on the record. John Lord was a friend of mine, and we were discussing the idea of going out on tour together, me and him, me doing some singing and him doing some conducting. And we would do, I think we were planning on doing like Jerusalem and Tears of the Dragon and stuff, as well as other things that he would do. And then unfortunately he got ill with pancreatic cancer. And that's when that record was probably, that was when that re-recording was done in the studio. So that's where I met Paul Mann, the conductor. And John was quite ill during the record. He didn't act like he was ill, but he was obviously very thin. But it was very emotional time, and he was a very beautiful man with a very great sense of humor, even at that moment in his life. And then a few years later, Paul Mann, the conductor, phoned me up and said, would you like to come to Quebec and do 2 shows for the 50th anniversary of the concerto? And I went, yeah. So there I was, and I did some Purple songs, and the next thing, I'm doing a little 8-date tour, 9-date tour of the Eastern Europe and South America with an orchestra, and I loved it. And I met Tanya, and I said, what are you doing next year? And she went, I don't know. I went, come out with me and play bass. So now there she is. So all things are connected, you know. Ah, there you go. Yeah, yeah. It's it's a load of rubbish, but it grows on you.